Hello guys and gals, and welcome back to another reaction. And this time I was so curious to check on this video because it's titled The Dangers Gen X Faced. And since I've reacted a little bit of the 80s trends in America, obviously this one showed up in my timeline, and well, I'm curious because I know how Americans were so free that when they were kids they would do unthinkable things. I read some comments, thanks to my Florida videos, that actually made me crazy. I read stories that broke my brain, that some of you did when you were teenagers. We have here in Europe some mad things, obviously. It's not in our culture to just go outside and do some dangerous stuff. Maybe dumb stuff, sure, I did some. I did dangerous things. I think we all were dumb at one point and really did things without taking account the dangers associated with it. But here I'm really curious because you have in America certain things that we never had around here. So I want to see, because the people in Florida, they're a different breed. I get it. They play with gators. I can understand that's not the same everywhere in America. But yeah, this piqued my curiosity. But hey, if you enjoy these reactions, thank you for subscribing. And let's get together in this journey where the end game is actually stepping on the land of the free for the first time and have the opportunity to visit it and talk with strangers and learn more about the stories. That's my end game. So thank you and let's go!
If you grew up as Generation X, then it's probably a miracle you even survived. At least that's what the modern world tells us. Many of the things that were normal back then are now taboo. In this video, we will have a look back and wonder how Gen X kids even survived. Television wasn't everything, but it was still pretty important. If you were a kid in the 70s, then you probably did not even have cable. Most people relied on a television antenna, which was usually rabbit ears and tinfoil. However, there were some households that used an antenna that was mounted on top of the roof. Every so often, this antenna would need to be adjusted thanks to some wind or weather. This became a family affair. Dad, of course, was in charge of the picture, so he was right in front of the television. One of the kids would be up on top of the roof and ready to receive instructions from the relay of the rest of the family spread out from Dad. No one ever thought anything about kids being on the roof and then falling off. Most kids got up there anyways just to get a better view of the neighborhood or the stars.
Is this
Many
true?
newer roofs are much more steep, and that might be considered child abuse to send your kid up there. I guess it's a good thing that people don't have to deal with antennas on the roof.
No, I was thinking to myself, where's the danger, right? And then he said kids would go on top of the roof. Is that really a thing? It's hard for me to believe that every father would do this. I mean, you know that a kid top of the roof is kind of dangerous. So I'm just wondering, is this like exaggerating a little bit, or was it really a normal thing to just have your kid on top of it messing with the antenna? Now I'm curious.
Summers as a kid were always fun, and why wouldn't it be? You were out of school, and that meant you could spend more time with your friends. But with all that running around outside, you were bound to get thirsty. There's nothing quicker and more refreshing than a sip from the garden hose. Of course, you had to let it run a while before it got cool enough to drink, but it certainly had a distinctive taste. When is the last time that you've seen a kid do this? It's supposed to be unhealthy, yet here we are. But occasionally, I still take a sip from the garden hose.
Sure, yeah.
The garden hose was also connected to a couple other activities that parents today may consider them to be too dangerous. The first one was the slip and slide. The older editions of the slip and slide were a little bit more dangerous, and some kids broke bones or chipped teeth on these, but just about everyone slid off the end or over the side and got a grass or rock burn. Believe it or not, they still sell these, but they are a little bit safer. This next item, however, I'm not so sure about. As kids, we all enjoyed playing in the water sprinkler, but some of these sprinklers could be pretty rough. This one in particular was really dangerous. It had a solid steel base that could certainly hurt if you stubbed a toe on it or fell on it, but that wasn't the dangerous part.
Yeah, I've never seen this, ever. This is like square spray. Never seen this before.
When the water ran through the sprinkler, it would move the metal fan blade at the top. At that point, it was like a little saw blade that was spinning fast on top, and it could cut through little water-soaked toes and feet.
Yeah, I can see the dangers.
If they got cut once, they would be sure to clear it the next time. Kids in our day used to be outside a lot, and we loved it. That worked out great because most of our parents really didn't want us inside the house anyways. As a result, kids spent a lot of time out in the sun. And sunblock? We had no idea what that was. Are you talking about a hat or a shade tree? At most, we may have depended on SPF 4, and that's only if we were super cautious. Everyone was exposed to the sun, and many of us would compare sunburns at the end of the day. When our skin started peeling, we would see who could peel off the biggest flake.
Why are you showing that?
That one looks like Texas. It also wasn't uncommon to see teen girls and young women laying out and trying to get that golden beach tan. Quite often, they would speed up this process by using either coconut oil or tanning oil. Today, most kids...
Okay, don't use coconut oil, okay? Because you're cooking, basically. But, I mean, sunblock, we know nowadays that it isn't really good for you. And they still sell it. I don't use it, never. And I'm really, really white, but I never use it. Ever. Ever. You just gotta be careful not to stay long under the sun. And that's it. I've never had any problems. We know today that sunblock is actually dangerous.
Kids get lathered up with anything from 30 SPF to 100 SPF. Parents in those days certainly didn't have to watch us like the parents do today. They not only trusted us, but they also trusted our friends and the rest of the community. Parents realized that we needed to do things on our own, and that was how we were going to learn. However, if they were watching and we happened to get hurt, there was no doubt that they were going to be laughing as long as it wasn't life-threatening. Bikes were everything to a Gen X kid.
Oh, goodness.
They provided us a freedom that we couldn't get from anything else. We could go on adventures that were hours away from home, and for the most part, our parents had no idea where we were at. We also used our bikes to jump some pretty shady ramps.
Yeah, it was like, how was it? Like, be home by sunset or something like that?
We could do a lot with some plywood and bricks, and it was hours of entertainment. As we look back on our childhoods and compare it to modern kids, it's hard to believe that we did all those bike adventures with no helmet or knee pads. This picture pretty well sums up the generation. This kid is jumping his bike off of a super tall ramp. Notice that he has no helmet, knee pads, or elbow pads. Just pure fun adventure. If this Evel Knievel lands short, then the kid on the end is in trouble. And occasionally
I feel for the last one.
As you look at the kids on the side, you can tell that they are worried about this because they've seen it happen themselves. But the best part about this photo is there's a dad sitting on the front steps and he's smoking a cigarette while he's waiting to see who gets hurt first. For him, this is as good as any gong show on television. Back in those days, cigarette smoke was everywhere, and you couldn't avoid secondhand smoke if you wanted to. In fact, most of us had at least one parent that smoked. Parents would send their kids into convenience stores to purchase cigarettes while they waited out in the car. Usually the clerk would just look out and get a nod from the parent, which would signal that it was okay to buy the cigarettes. If the parents were not around, then the kid probably needed a note from the parents saying that it was okay to buy the cigarettes. These notes were never all that official, and it might be written on a notepad, scratch of paper, or the back of a receipt. Dear clerk, please sell Rhett a carton of cigarettes. Thanks, Mom. Can you believe?
That's insane to me because around here, I mean, kids, I mean, in the 70s, sure, I believe it was something that could be possible, but parents wouldn't really do this. Honestly, and Europe is a country known for smoking a lot, especially the French, that stereotype of the French smoking cigarettes, of course, the French always smoke. I've met many parents. I was myself a kid, if you can believe that. And me and my friends, this never happened. And our parents smoked. They did smoke. And this never happened. So probably something, and I'm not saying it didn't happen. I'm just saying, majority in my life, and I lived in 2 different countries, parents weren't really doing this with kids. Because cigarettes have strict laws, and always had strict laws in Europe.
That actually worked? There's no chance that kids could ever do that today. Car safety was something else that most people didn't take too seriously. In the US, it became mandatory that every car manufactured after 1968 had to have seatbelts installed in them. But wearing them was more of a recommendation rather than a requirement until the mid-1980s. Until then, we stood up on the front seat so that we could see up over the dash, and our dad's arm was our seatbelt and the airbag.
It's like... it's like just putting your arm, like, that's okay. I got you, son. I got you.
Another thing that we would do is lay up on the back dash and pick our noses as we looked at the cop car behind us.
Yeah.
We thought it was super fun when Dad had to slam on the brakes and we came flying out of that back window and slammed into the back of the front seat. Back then, we had to learn how to take a fall, and the crazy thing about it is we couldn't wait to get back up there and try it again.
This would never happen, okay? I said yeah, but not that one. Not that one. When it happened here in Europe, even though it was mandatory, people still wouldn't use the seat belts. So I can understand that. But the seat belts were only mandatory for the driver and the front passenger. So it wasn't for the rear seated ones. So I remember being a kid and, well, just being a kid in the rear seat and not using a seat belt, which is wild, actually, when we think about this.
Pickup trucks were not as common as what you see today, and people that had boats would haul them with regular cars, even
beautiful
Cadillacs. And when Dad needed lumber, it was going on the roof of the car so that it could come home. He would tie it down a little, but it was still our job to help hold the lumber down as it was stacked on the roof. So there we were, standing up on the seat, halfway out the window, clinging to the lumber on top, while Dad had his hand on our waistband to keep us from falling out. Somehow his other hand was busy holding down the lumber on his side, which is pretty incredible to think about. At the same time, he was also steering the car, shifting gears, and smoking a cigarette.
Of course.
It's no wonder that we thought he could do anything.
Oh, man.
Remember some of the other activities we did? We all had toys that are considered dangerous now, but back then it was completely normal. Lawn darts was one of those toys. That weighted sharp point could penetrate anything if you didn't get the heck out of the way. Clackers, click-clacks, or knockers had the possibility of shattering and sending shards of plastic flying through the air like shrapnel. Yet somehow some of these clackers survived. In fact, here is my pair from the 70s.
Damn, we still got them. I've seen those.
Back then, we learned how to entertain ourselves with the simplest of things. Do you remember making long chains from soda and beer can pull tabs? According to what they say today, we could have been badly cut at any moment, yet most of us had minor cuts, if any. But one dangerous activity that we all did was kite fighting. Remember this one? You would fasten razor blades to the side of your kite and then swoop it down so that you could cut the string of your friend's kite. If you were successful, then that kite would keep flying forever. But if your kite took a nosedive to the ground, then you better be quick and get out of the way of those razor blades.
I've never heard
BB
of this.
guns were another item that was quite common. Kids could go all over town with one on the front of their handlebars, and the BB wars would certainly get intense. Back then, we definitely did not have safety at the top of our list when those broke out.
Yeah, I've seen many people telling me that they learned shooting with a BB gun and that anyone had one. So they told me basically that every pickup when going to high school, everyone had a rifle, their pickup truck. Schools had like shooting range, and they would have classes, and I mean there was really a nice gun culture, an educational one, which is how it should be. It should be like that everywhere, anywhere, and that was lost. So I understand why the kids had BB guns, and I understand why they don't have it anymore. Because if you lose that education that you had before, where you learn to respect the firearm, learning about what it is, how it works, how you handle it, I mean, you would know what to do and what not to do, and you wouldn't have 13% of the population making more than 50% of the crimes, right? I'm rambling here, but I hope you understand me. I think this was a good thing when there was a certain amount of education around it. Nowadays, I think it's still possible with good parenting that know how to transmit the information to their children, which is, it is possible. I've seen it and I've read stories about it, parents that do it. It is possible. But if you just sell this nowadays, just like that, like they used to, I don't think it would work.
Firecrackers were certainly a lot more accessible than they are today. It seemed like you could pop them off in every city, and it was perfectly legal. Did you ever set off some fireworks and then place them into your Tonka truck and roll it into the driveway where some neighborhood girls were playing jacks so that you could get their attention? No? Well, I guess that was just me then. Speaking of jacks, they were definitely something painful to step on if you were barefoot. Any parent today that complains about a Lego being stepped on has probably never really stepped on a jacks.
I don't know what this
These
is.
things would completely hide in the shag carpet, and they were like little soldiers that were waiting to ambush you. With all that time that you spent on the bicycle, then I'm sure that you probably came in contact with at least one of these. One slip of the foot and this pedal could travel up your leg like a vegetable peeler. Kids today know nothing about that level of pain. Here is something else that could be really painful. These chairs were really comfortable to lay in, but when you got up, you had lines going all across your skin. But that wasn't the worst part. They were not the easiest to adjust. You had to bend them all the way in so that you could adjust them further out. One wrong move and the hinges of these torture devices could snap down on you like a bear trap and take off a chunk of skin. Are these chairs even sold today?
Oh, I see the danger.
Despite all the dangers that were lurking all around us, it really was a special time to grow up in. People were friendly and neighbors were someone that you could count on. Some of the dangers that we see today are completely different than what we faced. Do you have any special memories that you would like to share? Let us know in the comments below. As always, thank you so much for watching.
Hey, good video. Too bad it didn't show some of those things, how they worked. Now I'm pretty curious and I'm going to have to research it. But all in all, what I can take from this, and I didn't have to check on this video to have this conclusion. We are too safe. That's what I think. Sure, there are hardcore, dangerous things. Sure. But we're still alive. I'm not from the 70s, so I grew up in the 90s. There were still dangerous things in the 90s that are not possible today. But I get it. Like in the 70s, sure, there are dangerous things. But nothing gets that dangerous if you just teach your children. If you were just taught about being careful with some of these things, how they work, I don't think they would be considered dangerous. It's just that there was some, and I still felt it growing up, there was still somewhat a type of an attitude of being more carefree. Because life was good, everything was okay, you had your friends, you left the house, you spent whole day out, then you come back before sunset. You had no responsibilities, you were carefree, and I believe parents had a harsher environment. And I think that's part of the land of the free, where you are responsible. You are responsible. And you don't have the government constantly on top of you telling you, oh, this is dangerous, let's prohibit this. We know what is dangerous for our citizens. And I prefer the American way, where it's there, it's dangerous, it's on you. Like, you are responsible. There's limits, of course, there's limits. But I'd prefer this type of philosophy. Like, I don't need the government to tell me it's dangerous or not. And like I said, there are exceptions, obviously. But some things that I've seen here are not dangerous. It's just that we were carefree and accidents happen. Still today, we have things not considered dangerous. And accidents still happen. So make it make sense. But hey, I'm happy to have seen this one. Was there anything in your childhood that today, while looking back and thinking about it, you say to yourself, oh man, that was dangerous. I don't know how I survived it. I'm pretty curious to know about it. And thank you for being a part of this journey. I want to thank the subscribers and obviously the YouTube channel members. Thank you for direct support. I really appreciate it. And I guess we will see each other on the next one.